Following the successful rescue of Chancellor Palpatine aboard the Invisible Hand, Jedi Master Mace Windu could sense that there was a perceivable connection between Jedi Anakin Skywalker and Obi-Wan Kenobi, as well as Palpatine. This was a result of his unique gift to sense shatter points through the Force. It was a Force ability that allowed Mace to see how individuals were connected and find where that connection was most vulnerable. He could then direct his strikes to make the most effective cut, a strike that would destroy the entire connection. Recognizing that the fault lines between Anakin and Palpatine were surrounded by the dark side, this caused Mace to become untrusting of Anakin, ultimately resulting in the Jedi Master rejecting Anakin's advice that he should go with Mace to confront Palpatine. But if Mace had these understandings prior to his duel with Palpatine, how did he so completely fail to sense Anakin's betrayal, wherein the young Jedi would choose the path of the Sith and intervene to cause Mace's death? In this video expose, I will explain why Mace failed to sense Anakin's betrayal during his confrontation with Palpatine. There are two main reasons why Mace was unable to see Anakin's coming treachery. First, he was unable to correctly recognize that the fear he was feeling within the Chancellor's office wasn't that of Palpatine's. And second, his inability to correctly read the shatter points that presented themselves in the closing moments of the duel. But these failures weren't just a result of Palpatine's brilliant manipulations of the situation or the growing cloud of the dark side, but also due to Mace's own failings that resulted from a sole focus on defeating Palpatine and saving the Republic. In regard to the first failure, in many ways, Mace fell into the trap of Palpatine by believing that the Sith Lord was far more vulnerable than he was. He let the Jedi Master believe that he became filled with fear of his impending defeat, so that Mace would focus only on defeating Palpatine and not the situation occurring within Anakin. As revealed in the Revenge of the Sith novelization, as the end of the duel approached, Mace believed that he felt Palpatine become reduced to a pulsar of fear, indicating that victory was imminent, and thus pushed forward to end the battle despite the fact that Anakin had appeared and disobeyed his order. When the Jedi Master disarmed Palpatine and looked to bring a swift death to the Sith Lord, Mace told Palpatine that he and the Sith lost for the same reason that they always had. He was defeated by his own fear. However, an amused and hate-filled Palpatine then replied in a way that showed just how confused and distracted Mace was, telling the Jedi Master that he was a fool for believing that the fear he was feeling was his fear. Therefore, in playing the part of a frightened old man, which Mace came to see Palpatine as during the duel, the Sith Lord ensured that Mace tried to finish the duel then and there, and caused him to completely ignore the fear and anguish that was going through Anakin, leaving the Jedi Master blind to Anakin's coming betrayal. Had Mace recognized that the fear was actually Anakin's, he might have sensed what was coming. But even more important in my opinion for why Mace failed to see Anakin's fall to the dark side was Mace's incorrect reading of the shatter point in the situation, as well as the failure to interpret all of the shatter points available to him. It should be mentioned that Mace already knew that his ability to determine the full significance of the shatter point that was provided to him through the Force was diminished, given that the darkening cloud that grew upon the Force negatively affected his ability to do so. However, it was still nonetheless available to Mace to recognize that Anakin would betray him if he properly utilized his Shatterpoint ability. Having started to engage Palpatine in lightsaber combat, falling fully into his Vapad style, Mace reached out and felt for the Shatterpoint that would undo the Sith Lord and allow him to defeat his enemy. Moments later, Mace found a knot of fault lines in the Force that represented Palpatine's future. Locating the largest fracture in the plane of the Force, Mace followed it back into the present, recognizing that it led directly to Anakin Skywalker, who had now entered the Chancellor's office without his knowledge. Focusing solely upon Palpatine, Mace believed that he finally understood the Shatterpoint so as to determine the final key to victory, and not just Palpatine's Shatterpoint, but the absolute Shatterpoint of the Sith. However, finding this path was a significant double-edged sword, as it caused him to focus only on defeating Palpatine and on nothing else. As explained in the Revenge of the Sith novelization, having located the Shatterpoint of Palpatine and the Sith and pressed the attack to end things right then and there, Mace ignored two crucial pieces of information. First, despite Mace appearing to have had a significant advantage over the unarmed and practically defeated Sith Lord, Palpatine wasn't even slightly worried, let alone afraid. And second, despite Anakin, a fellow Jedi Knight with Mace, having appeared and could have easily delivered a killing blow, Palpatine not only didn't fear Anakin, but he trusted him in a moment that should have filled him with dread. These failures, which ultimately caused Mace to be completely unaware of Anakin's coming betrayal, were not just a result of Mace's desire to kill the Sith Lord and end his influence that had been so devastating for the past 3 years, but also a failure to view Anakin's shatter point and seeing how it was connected to the shatter point of Palpatine. As Mace fell victim to the actions of first Anakin and then Palpatine, it was at that point when the Jedi Master recognized his misstep. He had been so intent on Palpatine's shatter point that he never thought to look for Anakin's. Had Mace not been so singularly focused on defeating the Sith and Palpatine, a result of his desire to defend the Republic and democracy, Mace could have determined the shatter point of Anakin and how it connected to the greater picture that was unfolding within the Chancellor's office. In many ways, the manipulation of Palpatine in the situation was similar to the Sith plan for the Clone Wars. Have the Jedi focus solely on what is in front of them, that they don't recognize the defeat that is slowly closing in around them. In focusing solely on Palpatine, Mace failed to sense Anakin's betrayal and fall to the dark side, seeing him as an ally and not a pulsar of fear and anger. So there we have it, why Mace Windu failed to sense Anakin's betrayal against him during his duel with Palpatine. We love making these videos, so why not subscribe for more fun Star Wars theories and discussions? Also, if you enjoyed the video, think about giving a like or leaving a comment. Or perhaps follow us on Twitter at SW Reading Club for updates regarding the channel. Or support the channel through Patreon for access to exclusive hangouts and book discussions. If not for me, for shatter points.